Hey everybody. I'm actually gonna start this off a little early because despite the fact that we're gonna be doing a board with like in-switch LEDs and stuff, I actually don't want it to take forever. I want to get done with it pretty quick. And I had hey, how's it going, TSC? Actually, normally if you guys notice, I start the stream like 10 minutes before the actual stream time is supposed to go down, and then actually start like usually on the hour, on the half hour. But today I had like some crazy problems with my face cam. It's normally on this system, so I had to steal the one from the other system. I mean, luckily I have spares, right? But I think this is actually gonna prompt a move over to this main rig for streaming anyway, or to this solder station rig for streaming anyway. I may pull like the camera that I normally have over the shoulder on my main rig is over the shoulder over here, so it'll look down onto the soldering station maybe from over It might look from this direction. Either way, then you'll kind of see my soldering station set up, all the stuff that's back here and over on this end, and this end, because there's a bunch of gear there. Anyway, as people are kind of filtering in, I'm gonna show you guys what we're gonna rebuild. And I took a little bit of the magic out of it because I actually already unscrewed the top, but that's all I did. So this is an Input Club Whitefox. Customer wanted this board rebuilt with Zilents that he provided, and wanted some white in switch LEDs also, which he provided. TSC, thank you for the resub, 4-month resub. You are my longest subscriber. Yeah, it's pretty. It's not my favorite board ever because I don't generally like the low pro look. However, that being said, I do think that low pro should be reserved for when you have lights, like LEDs in, preferably through switch glow. But I think that's why I don't really like the low pro look a ton normally for my own boards. I mean, I don't dislike them in general, I just never really choose them personally, right? Anyway, without too much more interruption, hopefully, or disruption of my stream process, I'm going to pull up Switch Hitter and we can kind of get started. Yeah, I think I'm definitely from now on going to try to work toward a single system model. So the customer had some other map on here. And I had to wipe that out because I needed to add a function layer that got me LED support. So got that all worked out. Yeah, so now like this turns on, this turns off, this is brightness up and down, this is I think toggle. Or maybe this is toggle and this is off. Not a big deal. Easy enough to reprogram these boards. So they're pretty lightweight. I'm actually kind of curious as to what it weighs. I'll get that going for you guys. Okay. I will say it's better for weighing things over here with the overhead monitor. So it's a little over 1.5 pounds for the board, right? So it doesn't feel as well. Let's get something like this, right? This is a cheap AliExpress case, so this is pretty light at just over 3 pounds. So twice as heavy, and not twice this. Oh, you know what though? Here, as another comparison, real quick. Salamander. So Salamander is a fairly light board for, I don't want to scratch up the weight on the bottom, so I'm going to put something down to protect it. Salamander is a pretty light board as it goes for the big heavy TKLs. And it's almost 6.5 pounds. And then TX84 SE is like almost 8 pounds. So fairly light. I mean, I realize this Whitefox probably weighs as much as most people's full-size plastic rubber dome keyboards, but I mean, that's not really what this community is all about, right? So anyway, yeah, we're gonna do it all from this station today. Really bummed that the face cam went out, the original face cam that was here. It's kind of disappointing. send it back to Logitech and be like, hey, send me a new one of these. Maybe. Anyway, oh, I don't need this plugged in anymore. I already showed you guys, and I already unscrewed the bezel, so we're gonna pull it apart. I'm gonna set this bottom piece off to the side. And actually, so that I don't scratch up my nice desk mat, which is perpetually dirty at the solder station, by the way. Like, it always gets flux residue on it. I'm gonna set this down. We're gonna pull all these keycaps off since all these switches are coming out. So pipe and tilde go at the end. So customer has Cherry MX clears in here right now. So basically we're gonna lube and tune these stabilizers the best we can. They are plate mount. So never be as good as screw-in stabilizers, IMO. But that's all right. Pull all these caps off. Start pulling switches out. So I see new faces in here. Wonder if you guys came in through a community place that I posted, or if you came in from Twitch itself. I've noticed that a fair number of folks, not a fair number, but there are a number of folks that come in direct off of Twitch. I guess this the segment that I cast in isn't all that busy sometimes. Anyway. Yeah, so I wasn't really necessarily planning on streaming this weekend. Normally I do Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. But I have to go somewhere for work next week. Actually, I'm kind of dreading it a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, it'll be fine, but I'm going to the Phoenix area. So I'm not really looking forward to all the crazy amounts of hot. I mean, it's hot where I live, but it's even a few degrees warmer in that area. And actually, I'm not in Phoenix proper. I'm outside of it where it's even a little bit warmer when I go. So, yuck. Even though I live in sunny California, I'm still a pretty big fan of the cool. We're using the old Soundstripe player we've been using too for music. So hopefully it doesn't stop a bunch, but this time I'm filtering it by genre. So somebody last time asked for jazz. So if and when they want a switch to jazz, you guys let me know. Or to whatever, for that matter. Okay. So, yeah, you can tell these are. Let me get the switch hitter off the screen. You can tell these are plate mount stabilizers because a part of them clips over the top of the plate on that front section right there. Clips over the front, and so it's holding onto the plate, not mounted to the PCB at all. So looking down, you can see these stabilizers weren't clipped when I look under there. In fact, you guys can look right here between there, and you can see that there's a gap between the PCB and the plate, or in the stabilizer bottom piece. Not super bright, so it's hard to see, but there is a gap. So they're just generally somewhat inferior, in my opinion. I don't know who put this together. The solder joints look pretty good from where I'm sitting. Yeah, they look fine, actually. Totally fine. Anyway. Actually looked pretty good overall. And it's funny, you can tell it was put together by a machine or something because there's a predefined amount of solder on each of the pads used for all the different types of layouts that exist. It's kind of interesting. But they, like I said, they do look good otherwise, so I cannot criticize that negatively. So we're gonna let this FR301 heat up. Yeah. I did actually have a plan that if I were going to be streaming tonight or today, I would have announced it earlier if I was originally planning on it, and I would be disassembling another board or harvesting some old Alps oranges. But I don't know if we're gonna have time for all that today. We might, though. I might have to just harvest them at the end of this streaming session. We're not quite heated up yet. Anyway, like I said, I did some pre-work and I got the LED set working. So here's customer's Zilents and his LEDs, and he decided to use the rectangular LEDs, clearly Chinese ones from the name, although I'm sure basically all LEDs are made in China. But I'm guessing they came from a Chinese distributor as well. Anyway, we can plug this in and it should light up just fine, and it does. So we know square pad is anode, obviously, the longer pin. And LEDs seem to be on, so we should be able to tell that everything works along the way. That being said, we'll get started with desoldering. Ooh, lead-free solder. I can tell. That'll be the fun part. Getting all these switches out with the lead-free solder that's in there. It's always the worst. Leaded solder is just better. I forget the term, but the term that means that all the components, subcomponents of the solder melt at the same relative melting point. That's actually the biggest benefit to the leaded solders. More of them are that way versus many of the unleaded solders, though there are some of them that aren't this way, where they melt at different points. Yeah, it doesn't taste as good either. So I hear. Never eat solder. Never, lead-free or otherwise. Don't ever do it. Wow. Took a really long time for that one to melt. Anyway, this actually should be a pretty quick rebuild as rebuilds go. I'm hoping. Don't jinx it, right? But I'm hoping. Tomorrow is a day that I'm traveling for work. So I wake up relatively early in the morning as I live fairly far from the airport. Takes me a couple hours to get to the airport that I drive to. It's actually a regional airport that could have got me to where I wanted to go a little bit earlier, or with a little bit less time traveled, but it's not an airport I've flown out of before, and the one I chose is easy. As opposed to LAX, which I fly out of most of the time that I fly, and it's a terrible, terrible, terrible airport to fly in and out of in terms of time. That airport just takes too much time. Yeah, fairly easy for lead-free solder. I don't know, I can understand why companies don't use lead-free solder, or why they might be regulated not to, but man, for hobbyists it's way easier. And we are going to be putting this back together with lead for sure. We're a 100% lead soldering channel here. Maybe not desoldering though. So I would say that most of the boards I desolder even have lead in them. Any custom builds or builds, yeah, any customer builds or builds for rebuilds of, harvestings that I perform on vintage boards, for the most part, all have leaded solder. Alright. Yeah, so I didn't do a huge announcement on this stream, so actually surprised that I have as many of you guys here as I do. Thanks for joining me, by the way. I do appreciate it. Oh, hold on one sec. It's actually already back to warm, but wanted to take a look at the... yeah, so... yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd buy a Whitefox or a K-Type or any of Input Club's boards again after the experience that I had with the Kira Hot Swap. I didn't love it. This board actually seems more in line with what the community would, with what a segment of the community would want. I wonder how Input Club's sales of this board are compared to the Kira, and how the K-Type is compared to the two of them. If I had to guess, people in the community would be way more inclined to buy something like this. Whereas people in the outside world who just want something high performance feel like would be more inclined to buy the Kira Hot Swap. And I think they'd be disappointed personally. Not in love with that board. Yeah, solder definitely takes a lot more heat. Vomindoran. Very fragile traces on this PCB? On the K-Type PCB? I don't see any lift. Wow. Okay. I believe it. I haven't seen significant signs of lift, but I will be extra careful now that I'm halfway done with it. Not that I'm ever particularly harsh on it on PCBs. Were you desoldering it with a gun, or were you using a yeah, so the suckers, the biggest problem that I find with the solder suckers, and I do have a major issue with them. The big issue that I have with them is actually that you're way more likely to harm a board because the amount of suction that they create instantaneously is actually significantly more than the amount of suction this thing gives, or at least that appears to be the case. I haven't verified it scientifically, but I think it's almost necessary to remove the volume of solder because the orifice is roughly the same size in the front on those as this one is. Maybe just a tiny little bit bigger, but the volume of air over that same period of time that it pulls through there is a lot more, so the pressure just has to be higher, and you're just way more likely to literally suck the pad right up. But with the Hacko, I feel like it's not a huge risk as much. This board seems to be doing okay right now. I do have a fair bit of experience with it as well. There's that. We'll definitely be keeping that in mind. I don't want to burn up a trace, but I am prepared to jumper if I have to. Always. I mean, at least you weren't having to do it with solder wick the whole time. I actually prefer wick in some cases, like really limited cases where I'm only doing one or two things, or the work is really fine, or it's SMD work over the Hacko. But generally speaking, this gun is just superior in every way to both of those other methods. The problem with wick is the time consumption when you're doing bulk work, which is what I'll call switch soldering. Given that this board is fragile, I will try to be extra careful with it. I will try to see if it just freely comes up off of the plate with all the switch legs, because all the switch legs seem so straight. But barring that working, I'll try to be gentle and make sure that I ensure that I don't rip any of the through hole segments off. Yeah, like that one looks like it's stuck. Yeah, it is for sure. So we're gonna reflow that one actually when we get to it. We'll add solder to it. Let it act as a conductor. Oh, this is a bad one right here. Yeah, the Hako tool is actually really pretty profoundly good. And I know a lot of people look at it at its price and think that it's really extraordinarily high, but the truth of the matter is, with the exception of a couple much cheaper Chinese effectively clones of this, or at least clones of this exact same design, whether it's Hako original or not, I don't know. Anyway, with the exception of some of those, this is really the cheapest option to getting into any kind of serious volume of desoldering through hole components. It just is. There are more expensive options that are quite nice, but if what you're looking for is an inexpensive one, as they go, this is the one, especially if you're looking to get into production level work, production level workloads actually. So since I switched to this other webcam, I'm noticing that it's not framed exactly the same as the other one was. I think I want to say they're about 260 or 270, which again, it's expensive if you're only going to do one or two things. But if you're going to do, like I stream let's turn that fan on. Like I stream every week at least once, normally on Wednesdays, right? So with that level of work, I mean, not everything is rebuilds though either. Perfect. So if you guys didn't notice what we did there, when I sucked up the solder initially, it didn't get all of the solder through that hole. And so what I did is, now the gun after that couldn't heat up the solder that was buried in that well around it, and so it couldn't get it up. So what I did is I flowed more solder in. Then when I put the gun on it, I let it heat up and flow all that other solder. Ooh. That actually is coming up pretty easy though. Yep, that's done. Yeah, I don't see any lifted stuff. But that's okay. We're gonna test it. So I'll get back to switch hitter. And we can try it again. BBB, what's up, man? It's not Wednesday. I stream sometimes on not Wednesday. Not Wednesday at whatever time o'clock I want. But thank you for joining me, despite the fact that it isn't Wednesday. I'll put that in the description. I'll put that in my when do I stream or whatever section in the future. When do I stream? And then I'll put that time and then be like, and sometimes whenever the F I want. I won't put F though. Okay. Perfect. I'm actually going to do this whole column first because I don't remember what they're mapped to, and I don't want to mess those ones up. Oh yeah, that's right, backspace is there. What did I miss? Right here? Oh, no. Over here somewhere. Okay, got it. Cool. So that red is showing that it chattered, and it didn't actually chatter, it's just I'm not making good contact continuously. There's no switch, so chattering isn't actually possible. But you can actuate it so fast the switch hitter thinks it's chattering. Oh my god, a hand bite. Oh is Handerbite actually gonna be launching into GB then? Tell me it isn't true. No, I'm joking, BBB. Is it actually though? For real? Where's it launching? Does it say? Is it launching through the site, or is I did the Chinese link? Yeah, no. I'm looking at the IC. I just don't see a vendor, right? So. TX keyboards. Okay, man. Maybe I'll have to get up on Handerbite, man. I guess we'll know exactly how much it is when the GB runs, right? I'm looking here, I don't see an exact expected price. I mean, that's usually how that goes, though. That's actually not a bad deal. Then again, okay. I don't know, man. Maybe I'll jump in on it. Just for the memes, if nothing else. It's not a guarantee, but it may happen. It's not really my jam. Oh no, our crappy player. The crappy music player actually is crappy. I don't know what it is, man. Don't know what it is. Oh. We were on a song called People. Okay, whatever. Sold. Yeah, crappy music player, web music player at that, is crappy. I did that one, did that one, did that one. I don't think I did this one somehow. Okay. Oh, this is the function layer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there we have a fully functional board. Yeah, it's gonna be 150 for sure. That's unfortunate, but what's not unfortunate is that you like it and it's running, right? That it's running, that's awesome. For everybody who wants that board, I am happy for them. Despite the naysayers. trying to be all clever and only pop them halfway. Make it easier. Would have been easier to just pop them all individually. Less time consuming anyway. Definitely testing. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd question their taste. I mean, whatever. It's their call. And like I said, I mean, I might jump in on it just for the memes. To have them meme boards. Which is what it would be for me, but at the same time, like, it has some kind of appeal to it in a weird, like, schoolyard kind of a way to me. Something that you would, yeah. It's okay, I'll say that. It's for the art. For the artistic value. Now what we need is Handerbyte desk mats. And Handerbyte, oh boy. Yeah, I'm not even gonna. Stickers and desk mats and stuff like that, right? Well, I don't know what it would look like, man, but it would have all of those colors on it. You know, the funny thing is to me, the colors, like all of those colors with the white legends, actually could look good on a board. Here's the colors that I think contrast the most harshly for me. The numpad enter, the F5, 6, 7, and 8, and the numpad plus. Right? Those look like 9009 colors, frankly. Why? Why not give them ideas? I embrace people making cool products. Artistic products. That statement evaluates false. My friend. Evaluates false. I don't actually have GMK 9009. I have EPBT 9009. On a TX 75, somewhere around here. Maybe not here. Anyway. Okay, cool. We got that done. All those clips go down facing. We're going to take these apart and lube them so they're not so rattly. Does not evaluate to true. Where did I put them? I was like, where did I put the third ones? I didn't take them off. That's where they went. Yes. Handerbyte is a keycap set. Evaluates true, yes. You are correct about that one. Oh, I don't have a keyboard plugged in. Just normally, so my whole workflow got messed up earlier because the face cam on my other station went tits up. And so get rid of that. So I moved, or actually the face cam on this station went tits up. Ooh, a little bit of a lag there. Anyway, went bad, so I had to move that camera to this PC. So yeah, all sorts of bad. Put it in a $14 yellow plastic case. Nice. Better be logged in over here. Damn. Okay, Whitefox build. Make sure I'm doing all the things the customer wants. Desolder. Yep, that's it. Okay. Couldn't be more straightforward. Anyway, it does look like a box of Crayolas. That's why I have a problem with the 9009 colored portions of it, right? The F5, 6, 7, 8, and then the keypad plus and enter. Like, I actually want it to look more like Crayola colors than those, if it's following that theme. That, in my mind, that's where I go with that. But we can't always get what we want, I guess. I mean, I could try and run a competing one, but that would be disgusting, so I won't. And I don't mean like from a... The action would be disgusting as far as treatment to the other people running the other one. What I mean is, I don't want to run hand or bite. That doesn't sound like a fun thing for me. I honestly hope one day that if I do end up buying it just for the lulz, I mean, I do hope that I find a board that it looks good on. I just can't imagine what that board would look like. Hey, Teal Tracks, what's up, man? Sophia Wolfx. Wait, that's why you put it on a 60%. Oh, so that you can... Sophia Wolfx, I'm curious what you mean. Oh. Oh no, please don't call it that. I don't want my name on that. Okay, I need to change my name now. Oh man. So you don't have to put it the night. Yeah, okay. That I can go along with. I was actually thinking, because I don't really use 60%, so it would just be like a board to show to people. Like, haha, this. I actually got rid of... do I have any other... I do have one 60% still, but I got rid of the only other one that I had. Like, I got rid of the tofu hot swap that I had. Now I have a purple 5 degree with orange Alps and a brass plate, and I never use it because, well, frankly, I just don't like 60% that much personally. There was a couple directions I could have seen you going with that. One would have been that. The other could have been, because you can get really cheap, shitty cases off KBD fans and 60% easily. Yeah, are you really laughing at me? I do. I only have cat. I am. Oh, yes. Yes, it would be in cat. That would be the way to do it. That would be the way. Got to do it in cat profile. Cat is keycap profile. That actually, there's some stuff coming out in cat soon, right? Does anybody remember what? I'm trying to remember what set it was. It's exciting, though. But there will be more sets, because I think Cat Alpha is really the only one that's available, right? Why is it production hell? Because of the contour, or who makes it? Like, who actually manufactures Cat? Do we know what plastic company makes it? It's not Signature Plastics, obviously, right? Nobody knows. I mean, if I were gonna make a keycap set, I actually think that I would go to not Signature Plastics or GMK. And I do know some people that have some injection molding work done, who have had molds made, and there are companies that are local to me that make molds. The problem is getting those really right that first time. The people near me, oh yeah, I don't know who makes them. No, the people near me are not JTK. I don't know if they make keycaps at all. They just do. It's an injection molding company, and I have friends that do business with them to make some parts. But he was telling me they'd totally make a keycap set if you pay to have the molds made. Like, they'll make whatever. I actually, before, I had a buddy who jumped into having injection molds done before he was investigating it. I just assumed that all injection molding really happened in China because of pollution and labor costs, like a lot of manufacturing, but that's not true. There's injection molding done in all sorts of places. I mean, think about it, GMK is in Germany, right? Can't imagine their pollution laws or labor either work out to being easier or cheaper there than here. How much would it no, I mean, they'll care. Like, they will care. I mean, so my buddy had molds made for a fairly big product compared to an individual keycap, at least. I investigated it to some extent with him when he did this thing, and not all the way. I mean, he knows way more about it than I do. They absolutely will care. They absolutely will care. They want your product to work out well. The problem is for stuff like that, it might have to undergo a couple iterations of tweaking to the molds. Now, if you pay them to do the design work based on a model that you give them, and they make the molds, then it's on them. So if they send it back to you and it's bad, but it isn't bad in your model, then they get to just make new molds. Which I think is pretty much how that company, at least the one he was dealing with, wanted to operate. But I went to their, well, I didn't go. He went and he told me about when he went there and showed me some pictures. So I did see pictures. They have a gigantic facility, like multiple buildings that are very large. Like, I've seen pictures of Signature Plastics. Now, they're not comprehensive photos of Signature Plastics place, but they look, I don't want to say rinky-dink in comparison. That seems insulting. I don't want to insult SP. They make good stuff. I just, they look like a small shop compared to at least this particular one that I saw. I don't know. DSA Borealis. I know. Yeah, Borealis is good. Somebody should rerun that. GMK Sophia. Do it. You got an idea actually for colorways so far? Because that'd be awesome. Make your own set. That's good. Yeah. It's a hard set to acquire, I think. Gotta set those alerts on the Mech Market Discord bot. And set it general enough that if somebody posts it in a weird way, it'll actually catch it. I think that's the way you get it. I believe that's the way you do it when you're trying to find something. Either that or just get super lucky and be trolling Mech Market when it happens. But in order to do that, you have to be trolling Mech Market often, right? Not trolling, like trolling, but, you know, scanning it, perusing it. You already spent your money on keyboards and headphones. You don't think you have the capital to run a set. I mean, that's part of the beauty, right, of a group buy, is that you distribute that funding requirement out to the community of people that are interested in buying that set. Not that there's no risk, there is risk. But prototypes of hold on, you got to do prototypes of you don't have to do prototypes of a colorway. If you do GMK, or if you're doing GMK or DSA or SA or whatever, you're doing an already known quantity profile through one of the people that already do that, and you're using standard legends, i.e. you're not doing custom legends like shapes or whatever, images, symbols, then there's no prototyping at all. You have to do rendering to get people interested in today's world, like good renders. But there's tools for that now, like semi-automated tools to make decent renders. Plus you can reach out to people in the community who do that thing. No, the risk, I think, with keycap sets really comes down to oh, why did I do that? And I didn't throw that away. I didn't even finish them. Yeah, the risk comes down to like the logistics chain. Shipping, payments, if there was an actual problem, if the colors don't look right. But I mean, there's ways to mitigate the coloring one, which is to use RAL colors, or to use colors that you already have a defined GMK code for. Also, Kobayashi extras, if anybody's into that. Ooh, post the link for the Kobayashi, man. Let everybody have it. I'm good with that link going up. May not be my main jam or anything, but it's cool. What I want extras of already, and I haven't even gotten my delivery set, is H87A. I gave up an H87A to the Lin Whale build that I did the other stream, and now I have no extras. I mean, not like a big deal, I have some coming, but it made me think that I should have one on hand specifically to service customers' problem boards. I mean, at this point, they'd just get a Liku L3 because I have that Kobayashi. Because I have Liku L3s, like 3 of them probably, extras. I guess I should like post them on Mech Market and sell them, but that's work. And they're not bad. Like, they're not as good as an H87A, but like they work. They actually work. Do what they're supposed to do. I'm liking that H87 Alps PCB that's in the Salamander, though. It's still working really well. And the funny thing is the time TKL PCB worked okay, but it had like occasional hiccups. I don't know what that was all about. But like where one or two of the switches would stop working. I've not had any of those with this. Kobayashi looks cool, man. If you're into that colorway, then you should do it. I jumped in on DSA Scientific last month. That's a set that I'm looking forward to showing up. Trying to think of what else I'm in on that I'm like waiting for right now, like that's expected anytime soon. I guess that's not expected soon. I don't know. I jumped in on a ton of stuff last month. I jumped in on a couple boards that I'm not going to talk about yet over the last several months, and I think one of them will be here potentially before Seattle. And if it is, then I will bring it. As of right now, no solid plans for sure what boards I'm going to bring to the meetup. I'm half tempted not to bring boards to the meetup, but I mean, kind of a jerk does that. Tell you who does that. Noobs do that because they don't have boards to bring yet. No, but I have like a few options. Like I'm considering this board because it's so light and it's Blue Alps, so it's nice, even if it's not very heavy. And then the one other board, one of the boards that I got on a private GB. And I'm not going to discuss that one yet because it's a private GB. The very limited numbers. Like very, very limited numbers. Irony of ironies, though. One of the other people who who jumped in on the private GB will probably be there. So if he goes, he'll probably have it too. That's okay though. Get to see more than one of them in the same place. Okay, so Band-Aid mods weren't on the agenda for this board, which I'm fairly happy about, because putting in Band-Aid mods is way less fun than having them. No, I don't actually mind doing them. They're not that big of a deal. You know what though, before doing this, I'm gonna look. Like, why did I close that before? Oops. Oopsie daisy. Nope. Nope. No, sir. No Band-Aid mods. Super sneaky secret. Yes, it's a super sneaky secret board. Or something. It's not super sneaky secret. It's just a private group buy. And I haven't talked to the GB runner about talking about it outside of here. I think one day it'll just show up and it'll be a surprise build, frankly. And that's okay with me. Because you guys will be in on it. You'll just be in on it once it shows up. Because, you know, I mean, little GBs like this, like privates, can have negative results, right? Like the boards can be busted or whatever. Manufacturing quality could be not optimal. And then, you know, I don't want the GB runner to get slammed for it, like it's a low production rate thing. And I don't want to go into more detail, but at some point you guys will understand. I will tell and show you why. And I have a feeling it's going to work out really well. Ow. Oof, a little burr. It sucked. A little burr on the actual aluminum. Bit me. Super sneaky secret, super sneaky secret, super sneaky. Yep, can't do it. Can't do it. I tried just for you, BBB. Yeah. Okay. North-facing LEDs. I mean, hopefully customer is not planning on using GMK caps. So yeah, being traveling for work next week definitely is going to be kind of lame, not being able to stream and see most of you guys on Wednesday. Don't get me wrong, like I don't mind. It'll be fun enough. I'll be with some coworkers and stay at a nice hotel, whatever, but still not the same, guys. Still not the same. I like my Wednesday routine. See, on BBB next week, you're gonna be like, isn't it Wednesday? Not. Wait, is it Wednesday? Work travel is nice if you don't have to do it too much. That's really what it comes down to. I don't travel a ton for work, but I do have to go places sometimes, and I don't mind it. I could see it. I've traveled more at other jobs before and in other situations, and I don't want to be traveling like all the time. My organization is like their travel system or whatever that they use for booking and billing and all that is not awesome, so I kind of hate that part of it. Like sometimes I have to travel to places where I have some family, and instead of using their system to like book all that stuff, I'll just stay with the family. I mean, partially because the family's nice and I like them, but more importantly because, you know, I don't have to deal with the travel stuff. Expensing, etc. Sunday is the new Wednesday. Sunday is not the new Wednesday. We are not replacing Wednesday. At least not right now. It may go away one day and get replaced with a different day. But this won't be that instance. This won't be it. Okay, we've got all of our anchors in. That's good enough. Yeah, also it depends on where you're going, right? Like travel for me is going to be to hot where I live in hot now, so not going to be particularly great. I guess there would be a pool though, so that's a bonus. In fact, the pool area in the hotel that I'm staying in is like really nice looking. I just don't know how much. Yeah, it has a pavement and sun. That's the problem, right? It just gets hot. I'm not actually in Phoenix. I'm outside of Phoenix. And it is a little hotter where I'm going. It's near Phoenix. Cactus or tree or 5 or like 1,000,000, yes. At least 1,000,000 cactuses. Lots of them. In fact, I went one time, the Organ Pipe National Monument, or maybe it's not a monument. National, I don't think it's a park though. Whatever. It is Park Service that ran it, so. But I thought for some reason it was called National Monument. Anyway. That's like as you're traveling from LA to Phoenix, way south, close to the border. In fact, you go through one of the like immigration checkpoints, and when you come back, they're like, "What was your purpose for going to Mexico?" And you're like, "I wasn't in Mexico." Anyway, So I went there one time and it was like May, early May, and it was like stupid hot, like 110. And I like hiked a mile, and then I was just like, this is brutal. It was like a mile, right? Like no, nothing, but it was brutally hot. So I was just like, nah, we're going back. I'm going back. Do not need this in my life. Back to the air-conditioned car. Like so many times, BBB, so many times. The stabbing is real with cactus too. Yeah, somebody like planted cactus near where I work, and I walked from where I was to like a Subway that's pretty close with a coworker to get food, and on the way back we were walking and he accidentally got stabbed by one that was starting to overgrow because he wasn't paying attention the walkway that we were on. And it's just like, who planted this here? Like, they don't, cactus do exist naturally where I'm at, but not that many of them. They aren't very abundant, and like somebody obviously planted these as like, I don't know, landscaping, you know? I was like, this is terrible. Who will plant this here? I don't know, man. People do crazy things. Cactus no mercy, yeah. They really don't. They just get stabby. They don't discriminate. Man, happy that we're almost done putting these switches in. That'll be kind of nice. Then we'll do LEDs, guys. LEDs. Yeah, I have like a long travel day tomorrow, but luckily I didn't pick so early a flight that I have to leave here stupid early so I can get this build done. Not be in a rush in the morning. So I'm definitely, oof, danger noodles, yes. And ouch plant. Danger noodles. So to be fair, the danger noodles where I live are like the most dangerous of the danger noodles in at least within the US. I mean, not in the world, certainly. I want to say within North America. I'm not 100% sure of that. I know within the US. Anyway, because the type of rattlesnakes that are around here have the neuro and hemotoxins, not just one or the other. Reach a few. That's okay. We sent a couple more in like another baggie. I don't know why they're in a different bag though. That's weird. E, T, and U. This song, I don't love this song, guys. But it's almost over by now. Cold-blooded danger puppies? Whoa. Yeah, cold-blooded danger puppies. Dangerous burritos. I don't know. I feel like a cold-blooded danger puppy would be like a crocodile or an alligator, right? Or is that like a cold-blooded danger pony? Those are logs. I don't know, man. I've seen those gators before. They move pretty fast. I saw one take a bird while I was on a riverboat tour in Florida. Seemed pretty dangerous to me. They're mostly log-like when they're not doing things, though. Okay. We're like cooking along now. No fear of nope logs. Yeah, I wouldn't want to live in Florida either. It's hot and it's humid. Like, those are two conditions that never belong together. That being said, I've been in Phoenix in monsoon season, and it's hot and humid there too, and it's like a whole other level of both. Like, so hot, people leave their cars on in the grocery store parking lot while they go in and get groceries, because when they come back, they want the air conditioner to be on so they don't like die. I remember being kind of blown away by that. Like, what are people doing that for? Why would they leave their car on in the parking lot unattended? Like, I don't know if they have another set of keys or something, but it was happening like everywhere that I was for like 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, also you gotta deal with Floridians. I don't know, there's maybe some okay people from Florida. I have a friend whose wife is from Florida. She's cool. I went to their wedding in Miami, and her family seemed cool enough. Maybe they had some crazy Florida stuff that I didn't know about, though. Sure they did. Or maybe that says something negative about me, that I didn't notice the crazy. Don't get me wrong, though. As a place, it's crazy there. Yeah, I like the Pacific Northwest a lot. That's kind of where I think I might want to target one day as well. I think they're tired of Californians there. And the ones that I've talked to and the times that I visited. I think Arizona is the same way though, actually. Actually, I think that's the whole country. I think the whole country is tired of California dominating their politics and their... I don't know. Just sending people over that are Californians and have Californian point of views. But, I mean, it is what it is. If they don't want to be in California, then they gotta go somewhere, right? I don't know. I have some friends who moved to Texas not that long ago, or in the process of moving, and like I could not see myself living in Texas. Not hating on Texas, don't get me wrong. It's just hot there, and like why would I go from one hot place to another hot place? And also it gets humid there too. I like more temperate, personally. Okay. About to be all done. With the switch soldering. Tin that tip, guys. Always tin the tip. Wait, what? Come up to Canada. Canada's nice. I've been to Canada. I'm going to Canada. I'm going to the Midwest Canada, which is part of Canada I've never been to. At the end of this month, actually, for someone's wedding. And then in October, I was in Newfoundland. Winter might not be soldered in. Either might some switches next to it. Yeah, enter's not soldered in, neither is that one. Cool. So yeah, Canada's nice. I have no problem with Canada. I don't go a lot though. I go to Mexico way more. I am going to Saskatoon. And maybe Regina. Regina? I don't know. Whatever that town's called. Maybe, but that's a big maybe. Sask though, for sure. Okay, so all those are soldered in. Soldered. You said it right the first time. Regina. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought it was. Yeah, rhymes with fun. Yeah. Yeah, so I think it'll be fun. It'll be a good experience. I've never been to that part of Canada. I've been to the northern US Midwest and just the Midwest in general. And I like the Midwest, for the most part. Lots of trees. Okay. That is the correct direction. Long leads. Anodes all go that way. You seem to stick through there nice too. Stay put, I mean. What if there's any good Keeb meetups? And I'm only going for a couple days, for like 3 or 4 days to Canada that time. It's really to see those friends' wedding. Sucks. Vagina, the biggest joke when learning province capitals in grade 1. It sucks. It's flat and it's dumb. Good luck moving to Alberta. I hope that you have fun. I like Southeast Alaska. I've only very briefly, like to the point where it's not even worth saying I've been to Vancouver. But Southeast Alaska, I took a cruise through and stopped in a bunch of towns. And frankly, I like Southeast Alaska. It reminds me a lot of the rest of the Pacific Northwest, but just a little bit cooler, not a lot, and a lot rainier, like a lot rainier. Though I'm guessing Vancouver's pretty rainy too. Seattle, not that rainy, not nearly as rainy as Juneau, Alaska, at least. Like, Juneau rained a ton while I was there. When I've been to Seattle, it just seems cloudy. I mean, there's some rain, but a lot compared to where I live, but I don't remember it being outrageous. Then again, I didn't stay there for too long. But very cloudy all the time. I mean, I live in California, so I'm familiar with mountains. We got a bunch of mountains here, but in BC, I think you guys have considerably tall mountains, right? Well, I think there's a lot of the taller peaks in the world, right? Or a few of the taller peaks in the world are in Canada, right? And they're all in that same mountain range that extends, like Denali's part of, right? Even though it's in Alaska. If I'm not mistaken, right? We have a lot of mountains, but they're like 10 to 14,000 feet in California. I think you guys have a couple really big peaks, like 20K peaks almost, or something close to there. 18, or I don't know. I remember looking once. But I haven't hung out or seen the mountains in BC. I wasn't there long enough. So these LED legs are a pain in the ass compared to a lot of the LEDs that I use in keyboards otherwise. grab a Jeep and go for... Yes. Yes. I don't know about all that, man. Not the elevations that are there. No, a lot of those really tall peaks, like, you gotta climb. Like, Whitney is a big attraction near where I'm at. And in all of California, really. Because it's not heavy mountaineering. Like, it's a really tall peak. It's the tallest peak in Conus at 14 something. But it's mostly a hike, depending on which way you go up it. Like, it's not like a hardcore mountaineering, depending on the direction you go up it. What are we listening to? Okay, we're done with this one. I don't know. Why go up the perfectly good mountain? It didn't do anything to you. Joking. Funny, like, I like rock climbing sometimes, but like in an indoor gym, not like actually going out. Because, you know, safer. More immediate emergency response if you were to get hurt. Plus air conditioning. I like air conditioning. Like, when I was listening to Nathan Kim's stream the other night, I remember him saying that he was miserable. Like, I asked him how he was or whatever, and I remember him saying that he was miserable because it was really hot and all the lights in his space combined with the high heat were making him miserable. And it's like objectively hotter where I live than where he lives, for sure, on the outside. But like, I air condition my house, so not that bad usually. I mean, expensive, but not that bad inside. Like, I remember being in Anchorage and it was like in the 80s, low 80s, and being like, I need my air conditioner to sleep at night in the hotel I was in. It wasn't 80s at night, though it didn't cool down a lot because it was so sunny. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I refuse to live anywhere where literally no houses have air conditioning. Because I'll just be miserable in the summer times. Like, winter can't come fast enough. And stay. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay, we're gonna change. We're gonna go to electronic. We'll go to EDM. Winter is so gross. Winter is not gross here. Winter here is the best season. People bitch about it being cold when it's like 50 degrees outside here. And that's, like, I love it when it's like that. In fact, it gets into the 20s at night where I live. Sometimes, well, it gets into the teens, actually. Technically, I think it gets into the single digits sometimes, but that doesn't really ever happen. It's very uncommon. Anyway. I'm good with it. Winter is great. It's the only time of year you can toss something at your children and not get into trouble for it. Oof. Nice. Yes. Truth. Like, I didn't mean it. I accidentally threw it like 5 times harder than it needed to be for a snowball. Snow with a side of snow and blizzards for like 6 months. Okay, so that's extreme, right? Like, my buddy, actually the same buddy that I was telling you guys about, that where his wife's from Miami, they live in Montana, and she had never, I think she had never been to the snow, let alone seen snow and played in it or lived in it. So, like, in real life. So they moved to Montana, and like, it was a particularly bitter year a few years back, and it was like there was snow on the ground, like still on the regular ground around in May, and like still really accessible to where they were or near places they actually went in June. They were like, oh, she was like, this was terrible. Like, she didn't regret marrying him, but like, it's like, this is brutal. Do not want. Okay. I'm sure she likes it more this year. I hope. I hope. I wonder how these square top ones interfere with like GMK caps and stuff. Like, they don't interfere with the caps that are on here. I know, because I tested one of the LEDs and one of those caps. Well, one of the switches and one of the LEDs and one of the caps. And seemed pretty reasonable. Like, no clicking. Trying to remember what boards we're building when I get back. Cannot think of it. I don't know. I guess it'll be a surprise, guys. Maybe there'll be a resolution with that punchy board. Though I'm guessing not. Still no word back from those guys yet. I don't know what's going on with that. I really hope those guys make it right. Only a couple more. Boom. Yeah, I bet the novelty wears off pretty quick if it's like really snowy all the time. It's not novel to me. Like, I actually like cold. I don't love snow though. Snow's a pain in the ass if you're in it all the time. I get it. Just like any other weather condition other than bright, sun-shining day. Pull our usual methodology. Tack one leg in place. What's our stream time at? Anybody know? I'll look. Definitely curious. 1 hour 51 minutes, huh? That's not bad. Considering we're doing LEDs. So if anybody isn't familiar with this concept or hasn't watched my stream before, I don't bend the LED legs. I think it's bad practice to bend over legs on a PCB that could be reused. So instead of doing that, what I do is I stick the LEDs through, flip the PCB, and I tack down one LED leg only. And the reason I do this is so that I can flip it back over and manually, with my finger, push the LED into the seated position while holding the iron on the other side to reflow that joint. You could do it if you had both legs tacked in, but it'd be harder because you gotta like go back and forth between the two legs to keep the solder flowing. Anyway, so do that, seat them all, then tack the other leg in, test electrically that they work, and clip all the legs. Sometimes you test a little bit as you go though, so that you can clear the legs out of the way of your soldering iron and solder.
So, anyway, I prefer to do that. Ooh, that's not the anode. Okay, so this one goes the other way around because it is a multi. What? Yeah. Multi-position deal. Okay, so that should be all of them. So now we're gonna pretty simply do this, since they're all north facing, which is right. Get my technique a little different. So the key here, and I'll say this every time I do this, is not to apply pressure on the LED until the solder joint is completely flowing. The reason for that, especially in a case like this where you have residual of a different kind of solder on here, potentially. Although I guess we didn't undo LEDs, so maybe you don't. Is so that it all flows and is liquefied when you go to push, because if not, and some of that is solid, then you're applying mechanical pressure against the inside of the through hole joint, right? So if you know anything about this way this works, is there's on the top side of this board and on the bottom side of this piece of fiberglass, FR4, there's a conductive material. It's usually copper, or well, it's not always copper. It can be copper. Usually is. Anyway, what they do is they bind the copper plates and the FR4, or the fiberglass that's there, and then they drill the holes where they are going to have through hole components, right? They route out the top with traces in a bunch of different ways that I'm probably not the most qualified person to talk about. Anyway, then what they do is they actually electroplate the thing, so the exposed pads on both sides and the hole get coated with another metal. In the case of this PCB, it's lead. Lead coats that, and probably something else. Silver, I don't know what they plate it with or how plating works. But that's what's going on, is there's a metal between the two sides. Well, if you apply mechanical pressure to that thin plated on material, you could fairly easily rip it and potentially take part of the trace with it, the pad on either side and the trace. And all of that effectively would mean there's a broken connection between the top and the bottom, and that's definitely not supposed to be the case. So it's not rocket science, you just don't break that by not applying pressure there. so you avoid any breakage. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so I definitely don't want you guys to be busting up your PCBs. It sounds like one of you already identified that this has a weak trace or weak traces on it. What weight Zilents? You have 78s coming tomorrow. Hopefully you like them because they aren't cheap. They aren't cheap. Residual residue. I don't know what weight these are. I'm guessing they're 67 gram based on the color, because that's how you can tell with Zilents. The 78s are a darker shade, and I know the 62s are a much lighter shade. So they're either 65s or they're 67s, and I believe they're 67s because I think we saw 65s last week, or on the Lin whale. You're going to want to avoid putting any pressure on the connector itself. Centering all of them LEDs. Okay. Now we'll look on this side. Make sure these are lined up. Yeah, these rectangular ones are not as easy to align. Like usually when I do this, I don't have major issues aligning stuff. Okay. So that's mostly them. So basically what I'm doing is I'm looking down this line, each of them, and look at it. DB24, man, it's going well. The only, I mean, this is gonna look good. The only, like, yeah, only a couple of them are actually making dual contact because I haven't soldered the other ones in. Yeah, the only issues that I'm running into really with this board are these LEDs, which will work, have a, they're the rectangular kind of LEDs. So they don't seat as well in the base, like as evenly. They took a lot of monkeying around with, whereas the normal round 1.8 millimeter LEDs pretty much don't ever have problems. It's not like a problem with this. So if you notice, I'm reflowing the anode after I did those cathodes like I normally do. And what that does is, once the other pin is acting as an anchor, it allows you to make sure that that other joint that you moved while it was flowed isn't a cold one. It allows you to make sure that you see that it has the right amount of solder on it, etc. Like on this row, I'll do the whole rest of that row. I was on LED 9 when I did it before, right? So reflow that joint. Yep, good. Reflow that joint. Could use just a skosh more. Oh, that one's good, that one's good. Allows you to check the movement one to make sure it was good, right? Okay, and so now if I plug this in, we should get that whole bottom row, well, top row, I guess. Yarp. Cool. So yeah, this is going pretty well, honestly. My flush cut. There they are. I'll clip these so they're not in the way of the next row. Gives us plenty of space to get our soldering iron in, get it working. And I'm gonna leave these on this other mat right here so that I can toss those all in the trash by sliding them off when I'm done. But yeah, this should go pretty quick now. So what's everybody done this weekend? Did anybody do anything fun? Even something simple? Because like, oh, I went and saw some friends, but I didn't play games or anything. I wish that I had sat at home. Wish that I was able to sit home and play video games this weekend. That's what I wish I would have done. In fact, I may get a little bit of gaming on after this. Before I go on work trip, because I won't really be able to do much gaming there. I may be able to play League on an old laptop I have. I think it'll play it just fine. It used to, back in the day. I won't be able to get any PUBG on. It's kind of been my go-to jam lately. What about you guys? Do anything cool, anything fun? Ooh, and the whole next row. Video games and cleaning. Well, that's a thing to do. That's not even a bad thing. Hold on. I don't want to listen to this. Nope. Too much step involved in that. The dub step. For me. Okay, boom, boom. All right. We aren't actually that far off. This all works the way we expect. Then we have like 1.5 rows worth more after this. There we go. You love the V2 Zilent. Oh, and you're packing because you're moving soon. Nice. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe not nice. Are you looking forward to moving? If you are, then nice. If you aren't, I'm sorry. You love the V2 Zilent. I think the V2 Zilent is great myself. I actually think the Zelio is better. I like the sounds that they make, but the Zilent, for any scenario where you want a silent switch, is a great switch. I know some folks are, this isn't the majority, but I do know there are some folks, and I've talked to some folks who say the V2 Zeals and Zilents are almost too tactile for them. I do not agree. I think it's great. I like the radical tactility, that Alps Brown-like bump that the switches have. Oh yes, it's a beautiful thing. There we go. 2 more quick plugins. Everything works. Clip them, make sure it all still works. Oh, hoo, hoo, hoo. I love that this board is almost done. I love streaming, but I'm happy that I won't be going to bed super late or anything on my day before travel. There we go. Dim that down a bunch for you guys. You always mess the LEDs up? What do you mean? How do you always mess them up? We know the function layer switch works because we were able to adjust the brightness. Okay. Make sure these stabilized keycaps work really well. Hold on one moment, guys, and I will verify that everything is good. Yep. Here's that other shift. There it is. Cool. Yeah, like, what do you mean by you mess up the LEDs all the time? I'm curious about this. Definitely curious. Turn that off for a sec. You can always put too much solder or something, just have a few that don't work first, have to go back and adjust them. Yeah, I mean, you could try what I did, right? Which is to always solder in the one leg first so that you can make sure they're aligned properly. Then do the second leg afterward. I find that the easiest way to do it, to not mess up. He had an FN key right here. I remapped it so that I could yeah, I remapped it so that I could get controls for the LEDs on the board. So he will have to remap himself since he did not give me a good mapping or a file or something. It doesn't matter. That part's really easy. Remapping, simple. You're an impatient solderer. Well, I mean, I will give you that the LEDs themselves are actually fairly easy to over solder based on their size, really. Like, the pin is small, the pad is small, so the tips that you usually use for other types of soldering are prone to not fit very well on that pad and pin. So the solder is more attracted to the solder tinning your tip. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, but what are you gonna do, right? I mean, I have a feeling this is gonna sound good. This is gonna be like as barely noticeable as it is for you guys. Looks good. I will leave that on. I don't know. I would no, if you need to do it again, if you need to solder more boards, just you know, take your time, man. Don't be in a rush. I mean, what are we at? 2.5 hours right now, which is extraordinarily fast for me, for what we're doing. Come on, center. There it goes. Oh yeah, man. Okay. Ooh hoo hoo. Perfect. 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 Everything works. Sweet one, guys. Oh, you know what I should do? So we're not moving over to the other station because of technical camera difficulties. So what I'll do is fire these irons back up while I put these LEDs away, so I can clean off their tips and retin them. Not completely retin, just, you know, keep solder on there. Reduce oxidation. And actually, I'm noticing every now and then my tip doesn't take solder as well as it could right now, as well as it does when it's operating at its best, at peak efficiency. So what I'm going to do is actually use tip tinner and show you guys that real quick. Okay, so customer LEDs, get rid of switch hitter. So there's this stuff, it's called tip tinner. It actually has this powder, when it melts, actually has a mild acid on it that etches the tip of that, but it also has lead, so it immediately tins it. So what I'm going to do is get the whole surface coated by that. Okay. Then I'm gonna wipe that off as per the usual. Get a good lead coating, regular lead coating on there. No acid otherwise. Put that up, turn it off. Oh, it showed warmed up and now it doesn't. There it goes. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing to this. Clean it up as good as we can. Then we're gonna go get that on there. Clean that tip. Do the exact same thing to it. Cool. And there we go. Good maintenance of your tools. Put this good stuff up. I don't know if you guys ever really do that kind of work to your stuff, but should always maintain it. Clean out the solder trap in that. I'll do that after the stream. We can do a little sound test on this board. All right, turn that down. Yeah, it is. Maintenance is good. It's the way to do it. All right, so sound with these Zilents. Okay, now let me pull up a Firefox display real quick. You want the Firefox? Transform. Properties. Okay. Make sure that I'm looking at the right thing. Oh. There we go. Okay, let me get a 10fastfingers.com up, right? See what we can do. Get the music going back again. Yeah, I need to put a ad blocker on Firefox. I just don't use Firefox that much for things. Anyway, okay. Let's do this. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God, the backspace. That was bad, guys. Bad. So many mistakes. So many mistakes were made with this backspace. I guess my pinky isn't used to... One, it's not usually on this row. Two, my pinky's not usually... Yeah, it's weird. It's super weird. I don't know. I'd say that probably cut off 10. I was actually going pretty fast for a while. Anyway. So... I'm pretty happy with the results. I hope the customer is too. It sounds good. It looks good. I'm excited to get this board out. I was this customer actually wanted me to do his board early if I could, and I was unable to like get it done earlier, and then work came up for this coming week. I was like, oh no, I can't not get it done before I leave, and then it'd be late. So here we are. Here it is. Got it all done for him a few days early, and then I can head out and not feel too bad. So I do feel bad for you guys though. I won't be here next week. Next Wednesday won't be a stream day. I'll try and make it up maybe when I come back on the following Saturday if I have time.
or maybe even Friday evening. Kind of depends on when I get in. Probably be Saturday if at all. Otherwise, it'll be the next Wednesday. GG, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You have a good one, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining the stream. All right, guys. Bye.